Is Math 7, Math Grade 7, Section 2.1. First we're going to start, the whole section is adding integers. So we're going to start by adding integers with the same sign. So like positive and positive, or negative and negative. And here's how we do it. If we want to do 2 plus 3, this is a simple problem, but if you know how to do it on the number line, it'll help you with other things. So we're going to draw the number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we start with 2, put a dot here. Right, we have already gone 2 units. Now we need to go 3 more units. So we go 1, 2, 3 units. And what do we end up at? We end up at 5. Therefore, 2 plus 3 equals 5. There we go. Now, we could do also the distance of the sum from 0, so you could say absolute value of 2 plus absolute value of 3 equals 5. Or you could do something else. You could just start at 0, go to 2, and then jump 3 units. So you could jump 1, 2, 3, and that also gives us 2 plus 3 equals 5. So there's several ways to do it. You could also say, on a number line, since the commutative property, you could start with either one. You could say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could start with 3 instead, so we could say 3 plus 2 equals. So we start with 3. Here we have 3 units. Then we go 2 more units, 1, 2. And that in total gives us 5. Therefore, 3 plus 2 is also 5. Or you could go to 3, you could jump 2 units, and that gives us 3 plus 2 equals 5. So any way that you do it, frontwards or backwards with addition, is fine. Okay, this is on a horizontal number line. And so we know that on a horizontal number line, so let's say horizontal is this way. We know that smaller numbers are over here and bigger numbers are over here. For example, -1, 0, and 1. 1 is bigger than -1, 0 is somewhere in between. When we go positive, so if you want to use a positive number, you go to the right. Right equals positive. Just like how these numbers are positive, we moved to the right. If you have a left, if you want to go to the left, your number will be negative. So if you have a negative number, you'll go left. We'll do that we'll do an example in a minute. But that's for a horizontal number line. For a vertical, up at the top, you're going to have your bigger numbers. Down to the bottom, you'll have your smaller numbers. So we would have 0 down here, 1 up here, -1 here. So you're always going to go small to big. So therefore, if you have a positive number, positive equals up. If you have a negative number, negative equals down. Okay, let's try this with our example here. So if we start with method 1, we're going to use a number line to evaluate -1 plus -3. Notice we have 2 negative numbers, so let's start by drawing the number line. 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Okay, so we start with -1 down here, and this is a negative number. It's a horizontal number line, so negative means that we go left. So on the number line, we start with -1. This was 1 unit. And then we need to go left 3. So 1, 2, 3. That is 3 units. Notice these are the absolute values, because absolute value of -1 equals 1. Absolute value of -3 equals 3. That's where you get those numbers from, 1 and 3. We go left that many ways, or you can start at -1. You can jump 1, 2, 3, and you will find out that this equals -4. Okay? Now let's try also method 2, which is just what I showed you up here. Basically, you're writing the absolute values. So if we want to do this for the same one, we'll write -1 equals 1, -3 equals 3. I got ahead of myself. So the absolute value of -1 plus the absolute value of -3, remember this is 1, that's 3, equals 4. This also equals 4. So 4 is the distance from 0, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 4 units. That's what this number is telling you. And you know that since this goes to the left, it's a -4. Okay, so -1 plus -3 equals -4. So even though it says plus, if it's a negative number, you still go to the left on the number line. So use a number line, use your absolute values. The sum of positive integers is going to be positive. The sum of negative integers is going to be negative. Remember, this is just absolute values. We got to our final answer here. Okay? So negatives goes to negative, and positives goes to positive when you're adding integers with the same sign. Now, let's try an example. Example 1. -2 plus -4. So remember, there's two methods. Method 1, we could do it on a number line. So 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So we start at -2. We go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, to the left because it is negative. And then that gives us the total of -6, and that is our answer. Or you could do method 2, where you find the absolute value of -2 equals 2. Absolute value of -4 equals 4. Then you could say 2 plus 4 equals 6. Therefore, our absolute value answer is 6. So we know, because it's two negatives, -2 plus -4, that our total answer is going to be -6. Okay? Go ahead and pause and try guided practice 1 and 2. Now let's add integers to their opposites. Remember, last time we did positive, positive, negative, negative. Now we're going to do a positive with a negative, or a negative with a positive, and see what happens. So remember, on a number line, you know if it's positive it goes right, negative goes left, or positive goes up, negative goes down, depending on your number line. So to evaluate 2 plus -2, notice the signs are different, they're opposite. We are going to draw out our number line. So we're going to have -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. We'll go to 3. So start with 2. Okay, we have 2 units away. And 2 is our first number, and then because this is negative, we need to go 2 to the left, 2 units, because it's negative, so we go back, and we end up at 0, therefore our answer is 0. So you could see that they are opposite. So these are called additive inverses, because they are 0 pairs. So additive inverses are opposite signs, same number, and the sum is 0. That's how you know that it's a 0 pair. So for an example in this picture, you can see this represents 1, this represents -1. So if you have 2 of these and 2 of these, they cancel each other out. and that give you 0 either way. So some real-world examples of using opposite quantities. A hydrogen atom has its charge of 0 because it has 1 proton and 1 neutron and 1 electron, so those cancel each other because 1 is positive, 1 is negative. They cancel, therefore it is neutral. And B says you put a stone that weighs 3 ounces on a weighing scale and then remove it. So you're putting positive 3 ounces and then you take it away, negative 3 ounces, that equals 0. So we have neutral, 0. C says you heat up an oven and then turn it off so it goes back to room temperature. So the overall change is 0 degrees Celsius. So heat, cool with the same amount is going to equal 0 degrees Celsius overall. D, you move up 50 feet in an elevator and then you move 50 feet back down. Maybe you forgot something back down. So 50 feet minus 50 feet. Overall, you didn't go anywhere because you ended up back on the same level. So you're at 0 feet. These are called zero pairs or additive inverses. Okay, make sure you know those terms. Let's try example. Right there. Let's try example number 2. 5 plus negative 5. So we know on a number line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we jump up 5 and then we jump back 5, so it equals 0, and 0 is our answer. Go and try that on guided practice 3 and 4. Okay, moving on to add integers with different sign. To add integers with different signs, let's try 2 methods. So suppose the temperature was negative 8 degrees Fahrenheit at 7 a.m. in the morning. 5 hours later, temperature had risen to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So 5 hours later, we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. So we get to 12. This is 12 p.m. because it's noon. So we get here at 12 p.m. it is 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So because the temperature rose, you need to find the new temperature by finding the sum of these. That will give you the new temperature because it rose this much. So to add those, we have our negative 8 on the number line. Here's our 0. We'll go negative 6. I'm going to count by 2s. Negative 4, negative 2, 2, 4, 6. So we start at negative 8. Because this is positive, we go to the right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Remember, I'm counting by 2s. So I end up at 2. My answer, negative 8 plus 10 equals 2. So my total degrees by the end will be 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure you put units. Okay, another way to think of it, maybe, is to just do this jump. Or method 2, you write the absolute values, and then the absolute values give you 2, and it is 2 from 0, and you would know that the greater number, the sign of the greater number is going to be the overall sign. So because the 10 is bigger than 8, the 10 is bigger than 8, the sign's positive, so the final answer is positive. And the new temperature is 2 degrees. Let's try example 3. Evaluate negative 12 plus 6. So we go from 0 all the way to negative 12, and then we go back up 6. So negative 11, negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. We get to negative 6. So the answer equals negative 6. Remember, that you could also do this by finding the absolute values. This absolute value is bigger, so because this absolute value is bigger, we're going to do 12 minus 6, which equals 6. We take the sign of the bigger one, which is negative, and so that becomes negative 6 is also the answer. Okay, go ahead and try guided practice 5, 6, and 7. Will I get a new piece of paper? There's a lot of writing on this one. So, moving on. Example 4. -9 plus 2 plus -3. We can do the same thing on a number line where we are moving multiple times. So for here, we need to start at, I'm going to write these on first. 8, -6, -4, -2, 0. We're going by 2's. If we start at -9, it'll be here between the 10 and the 8. And then we're going to go positive 2, so 1, 2, which makes us arrive at -7. And then we are going to go back 3. So 1, 2, 3, minus 3. And that ends up at -10. So our total answer is -10. Okay? That is how you do it. You go forwards for positive, backwards for negative. Another method that you could do is, again, you could find the absolute values. You could say absolute value of -9 equals 9, absolute value of 2 equals 2. Then you go 9 minus 2 because 9 is bigger, and that equals 7. You take the sign of the largest one, which is the negative sign, so it's -7. And then we're going to find the absolute value of -7 equals 7. Take the next one, absolute value of -3 equals 3. Because they're the same sign, we add them. Here they were different, we subtracted. When they're the same, we add. So it becomes 7 plus 3 equals 10. And we know that these signs are both negative, so it's -10. That gives us the same as up here, -10, -10. Go ahead and try guided practice 8 and 9. Last example, example number 9. Here we go. The water level in a large tank rises 5 feet and falls 9 feet. Then it rises 3 feet. So overall, how much did it rise or fall? So rise, we're going to treat as positive, so we're going to say 5. Fall, we're going to treat as negative, so we're going to say -9. Rise, again, is positive, so we're going to say 3. And this is our equation we made from this. So this is like +5, that's like a -9, that's like +3. And then we just found the sum of all these, 5 plus -9 plus 3. And let's write this out on a number line to evaluate. So we will start at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4. Okay, 5, we start here. Then we're going to go back 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We arrive at -4. Then we need to go back up 3. So we go 1, 2, 3. And our answer in the end is -1. To do it the other way, we could find our absolute values. This is a good way to check it if you're not sure. So the absolute value of 5 equals 5. Absolute value of -9 equals 9. Because the signs are different, we subtract. So it becomes 9 minus 5 because 9 is bigger. That equals 4. Then we take the sign of the biggest one, it was 9. So it becomes -4. You can see that's where we got to. Then we're going to find the absolute value of this, which equals 4. Absolute value of our next one, 3, equals 3. Signs are different, so we subtract 4 minus 3, and that gives us 7. Because the signs are different, we take the sign of the oh sorry, 4 minus 3 is not 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. We take the sign of the biggest one, and that becomes -1, and we get the same answer both times. Go ahead and try that for yourself. Guided practice 10. We'll see you in class.